Thank you guys for your patience. Okay, we're already done with scenario number 1. If both of the equations are y equals, then we're going to set it up like this, y equals y. Now let's go into big scenario number 2, where there's 4 examples. One equation is solved for. What I mean by this is one of the variables is already left by itself. Like there's a y equals something, and then on number 23, there's an x equals something. So how would you do with this? Well, I will show you right now. Step 1. Choose the equation that's already in standard form. What I mean by standard form is all the variables are on one side. So I'm going to start off with the top equation because that's standard form. I'm going to go back to this paper right over here. Standard form is ax plus by is equal to c. Okay. So choose equation in standard form. And out of these two equations, the one that's in standard form is 8x minus y equals 16. So 8x minus y equals 16. And I did deliberately put a space in front of the y. A4, what is the number that goes in front of the y if we don't see it? 1. So this is actually negative 1, and that's going to be important for us. In this specific example, your step number 2 is you're going to plug in the y expression. What I mean by this is, you see how y is equal to 7x minus 14? So this is the expression for y. What we're going to do is we're going to plug it in the standard form equation for where y is at. I'm plugging it in on the y because this is y equals. So we're going to do a small rewrite. This is 8x minus 1. And now instead of writing y, we're going to put in the expression 7x minus 14 equals 16. So this is why, again, this is why it's called substitution. We're just plugging in an equation inside another equation. Once you have this set up, now this looks like an equation from the first and second week of school. What are you going to do with the negative 1 that starts with the letter D? You're going to distribute the negative 1. Okay. So just be careful with your negative signs, of course. Negative 1 times 7 is negative 7, but with an x. Be careful. What is negative 1 times negative 14? Positive 14. So again, please be careful. That one negative that shouldn't be there will throw off a lot of your answers. You know, some of you guys on your test, some of you guys are not combining like terms just yet. So please go ahead and combine like terms before you start doing those transfers. On the left side, what two things can you combine? The 8 and 7. Okay, so combine these two first. 8 minus 7 is 1x. And then from here, now you can start transferring, doing the minus something on both sides. And yeah, what are you going to subtract on both sides? 14. We're going to subtract 14 on both sides. So we're left with 1x is equal to 2. And actually, this is your solution. 1x is the same thing as saying x, so x is equal to 2. Are we finished? We are not finished with this. What do you think we have to do now with x equals 2? We're going to plug it back into any one of these equations. But for me, be a little bit choosy. I'd probably plug in the x over here on the second equation, just because if we plug it in, then we have a solution for y. You can plug in the x over here too, but I mean, I think it might be a little bit more difficult. So just be a little bit choosy with your equations that you choose. Okay. Y equals 7 times 2 minus 14, and then we're just going to do PEMDAS on the right side. Y is equal to 14 minus 14. And y is equal to 0, which is an okay answer. You can always have 0 as an answer. Okay. You tell me what to write. 0, comma 2, 2, comma 0, 2, comma 0. X, comma y. Let's go ahead and do one more example, and then we'll take the last mental health break for today. Okay. Students, any questions on this 4-stepper? Any questions? Okay. All right, I'm not going to write the words anymore. Let's just go ahead and follow through with the same steps. Number 23, step 1, let's choose the equation in standard form. So, should we choose the top one or the bottom one, you guys? The bottom one is in standard form because it has x's and y's all on one side. So we're going to choose this equation to start off with. Now, your first equation is x equals y minus 2. I want you to be very careful because in this step, we are going to plug this in. Where are we going to plug in the y minus 2? In the y or in the x? Ooh, I'm having two different y in the x. Because x equals, okay? Because it says x equals, you're going to plug it in the x. So just be careful where you're plugging it in. You're not always going to plug it in on the y. Whatever this variable is, that's what you're going to plug it in, okay? So on the first one, we plugged it in on the y because it was y equals. On the second one, it's x equals, you plug it in there. Just be careful. Rewrite negative 2, y minus 2, minus 8y is equal to 14. So again, just be careful. Oh, well, that's going on the recording. Anyway. Now this looks like equations from the first month of school. Distribute the negative 2. Negative 2 times y is negative 2y. And then negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. All right, I wouldn't do any transferring just yet. Please take a look at the left side. What two things can you combine? Negative 2y and negative 8y. On some of your guys' last tests, some of you guys are adding 8y over here and 8y over here. You don't do that on one side. You just take the calculator and go negative 2 minus 8. So that's what I mean by combining like terms, okay? Anyway, what is negative 2 minus 8? Negative 10. So this is going to be negative 10y. Plus 4 is equal to 14. Okay, now we can go ahead and do some transferring over here. Next step, please. Next step, please. Minus 4. Negative 10y is equal to, well, 14 minus 4 is 10. Last step for right now. Divide by negative 10, yes. Just be careful with that. Y is equal to negative 1, and we'll just take notice of this. If we are not done, what should be our next step? Yes. Yes, you're going to put -1 in place of y. Which one looks easier to you to plug in? The second one or the first equation? I think the first equation. Always choose like the easier quote-unquote equation, just because there's less numbers. X equals y minus 2. X equals -1 minus 2. You owe someone $1, and then you're asking him and her for $2 more. So you owe him and her $3. I don't know why you owe them, but that's the answer. Tell me what to write for your coordinate point. What is it? -3, -1. Thank you. -3, -1.